All right, let's dive into something a little different today.
Okay.
Astrology.
Sounds good.
We're looking at excerpts from lessons 10 through 19 of the Junior Astrology Course by the Rosicrucian Fellowship.
Okay.
Now, you might be thinking Junior Astrology, but stick with us.
Right.
These guys get into some pretty in-depth stuff.
Yeah.
And just to make things even more interesting, the Rosicrucian Fellowship blends Christianity with esoteric knowledge,
Uh-huh.
like astrology.
Yeah.
What do you think? Does that make their take on astrology more or less credible?
That's a really interesting question to think about as we go through these lessons.
Yeah.
It definitely adds a unique dimension to their perspective.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, in letter 10,
Okay.
they talk about this idea of planetary forces being in this constant cosmic balancing act
Okay.
to maintain equilibrium throughout the universe.
Hold on. So they're saying like our actions here on Earth are somehow impacting this universal balance.
Yeah,
That seems like a pretty big claim for a junior course.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it connects to this concept you might have heard before, as above, so below, this ancient Hermetic principle that basically suggests everything in the universe is interconnected.
Right.
So think of it like this. Our thoughts, our emotions, our actions,
Yeah.
they create these ripples in this cosmic pond
Okay.
that influence the flow of universal energy.
Mm.
It's like this giant feedback loop.
Wow.
What do you think? Too far out there.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting to think about like the butterfly effect, but on a cosmic scale.
Yeah.
But how do we even begin to like wrap our heads around these cosmic forces? Like how can we actually decipher what the stars are trying to tell us?
Well, in Lesson 10, the course introduces this idea of reading a horoscope
Okay.
as a way to understand these influences.
Okay.
And they use this analogy of an alphabet to describe it.
Okay.
You've got the signs, the houses, the planets, and the aspects, all these elements
Right.
working together like a code
Okay.
that reveals a person's destiny.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this junior course might get a little complicated.
All right.
So how does this whole destiny thing work?
Okay.
Are they saying our lives are predetermined?
Not exactly.
Okay.
They break down destiny into three fascinating types.
Oh.
First, you've got immediate destiny,
Okay.
the everyday cause and effect stuff,
Okay.
influenced by planets and cardinal signs and angular houses.
Right.
These are the areas of life where we have the most direct agency, our free will.
So like making a choice to go for a run or what to eat for breakfast.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Then there's short-term destiny, which plays out over a slightly longer time frame,
Okay.
still heavily influenced by those same cardinal signs and angles.
Okay.
Think of it like setting a goal and working towards it over several months or even years.
Okay.
And then there's this ripe destiny,
Right.
which is the stuff we carry with us from previous incarnations.
Past lives.
Past lives, exactly. The karmic lessons and patterns that shape our current experiences.
Okay.
It's pretty fascinating to consider.
Yeah, it is.
But they don't just leave it at these theoretical concepts.
Right.
They use some really vivid examples to illustrate them.
Okay.
For example, they suggest that having the sun in Aries
Okay.
might predispose someone to fevers.
Really?
Yeah, and when you think about the fiery, energetic nature of Aries,
Right.
it kind of makes a strange sort of sense, right?
Yeah, like their inner fire is manifesting physically.
Exactly.
They also mentioned the sun in Capricorn being linked to social honor,
Yeah.
and they even suggest Napoleon had this placement.
Oh, wow.
Now that's ambitious.
That is ambitious.
It makes you wonder if certain placements really do set you up for greatness,
Right.
or are we giving the stars too much credit?
Yeah, good question.
The course also delves into the impact of planetary placements in Cancer, the sign ruling the home and family life.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they claim Saturn in Cancer can indicate a home tyrant.
Oh, wow.
Do you think there's any truth to that?
That's an interesting... I mean, isn't Saturn also about structure and discipline? Maybe it's not necessarily a tyrant, but someone who values a well-ordered home environment,
Right.
even if they have strict rules.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that astrological interpretations aren't always black and white.
Right.
There's nuance to every placement, and how it plays out can depend on so many different factors.
Yeah.
The course also mentions the myth of Faust and Saturn's role as the spirit of negation.
Oh, okay.
It seems they're painting Saturn as this force of limitation and challenge.
Okay, so we're starting to see the complexity of these planetary archetypes,
Definitely.
even in a junior course.
Right.
But let's dive into some specific types of signs.
Okay.
They dedicate lessons 11 through 14 to the fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius.
Those are the fixed signs, sorry.
And a key characteristic of these fixed signs is stability.
Stability,
But remember, stability doesn't mean they're stagnant.
Right.
They have a focused, persistent energy that can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, very much so.
The Course uses the phrase, reliable for good or bad, when describing fixed signs. That's an interesting concept.
It is.
That makes you think about the potential impact of this unwavering determination.
Right.
If someone with strong fixed sign placements sets their mind to something, they're likely to achieve it, whether it's a positive or a negative goal.
Right.
It seems like understanding these placements could be crucial when figuring out who to trust or rely on.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the Course doesn't shy away from the potential downsides either.
Yeah.
He even mentioned the archetype of a narrow-minded fanatic stuck in their beliefs
Yeah.
because of this same fixed energy.
Right, right.
It's a cautionary tale reminding us
Yeah.
that every strength has its shadow side.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely a reminder that balance is key.
Yeah.
With any of these astrological energies.
But let's break down these fixed signs individually.
Okay.
What makes each one tick?
Okay, well, they begin with Taurus. Okay. And its connection to family connections.
Okay.
Ruled by Venus, the planet of coalition.
Right.
It seems Taurus is all about creating bonds.
Yeah.
And building a solid foundation.
Then there's Scorpio, which rules both sex and death.
That's an intense combination.
That is an intense combination.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear how they approach those themes.
Me too.
Yeah.
It certainly makes you think about the potential for transformation and rebirth associated with Scorpio.
Then there's Leo, ruled by the sun.
All right.
Not surprisingly, they describe Leo as the sign of ardent affection, creativity, and self-expression. They're all about shining brightly and sharing their gifts with the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that resonate with any Leos?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like they have this innate confidence and charisma that just draws people to them.
For sure.
And last but not least, there's Aquarius.
Right.
The sign of altruism and friendship. I find it interesting that the Course mentions the rising influence of Uranus, Aquarius's ruler.
Oh.
Perhaps they're hinting at a shift towards more humanitarian values.
It's definitely something to consider as we move into those common signs in the next lessons.
Okay.
It seems like each of these fixed signs brings a lot of depth and complexity to the table.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you ready to dive into the next group of signs?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's delve into these common signs.
Yeah.
They take center stage in lessons 15 through 19.
Right.
Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces.
Uh-huh.
And unlike those fixed signs we just talked about, these are all about flexibility, adaptability, going with the flow.
Exactly.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
The Course suggests this flexibility can sometimes make them leaners, not lifters.
Leaners, not lifters.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Are they implying that these signs lack initiative?
Well, it seems they might be more prone to following than leading. But remember, there's always a spectrum with these astrological energies, right?
Right.
The Course actually breaks down the common signs into two subclasses.
Okay.
The younger souls who are still finding their way.
Okay.
And the more mature souls in a transition phase.
So they're not saying common signs are inherently weak or passive.
Right.
Just that they might be in different stages of development.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they haven't quite settled into a specific role or identity yet. They're still exploring different possibilities.
Okay.
Which can make them appear less decisive or assertive than those fixed signs we talked about.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And that actually resonates with what they say about common sign individuals.
Yeah.
Sometimes feeling out of tune with both the material and spiritual worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're searching for their place, trying to find that sweet spot where they can really thrive.
But even though they might be more adaptable and less fixed in their ways, the Course emphasizes the importance of turning dreams into action.
Yes.
Even for these more flexible signs.
Yeah, they use examples like Thomas Edison and Samuel Morse, highlighting the power of combining vision with concrete effort.
That's a good reminder that potential doesn't automatically translate into success.
Exactly.
It takes work no matter your astrological makeup.
Right.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What makes each of these common signs unique?
Right.
Starting with Gemini.
Okay.
What do they say about them?
Well, they link Gemini to the lower mind, communication, short journeys, and they even mention potential health issues.
Hmm.
It's like their energy is always buzzing, constantly taking in information and connecting with others.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Geminis are known for their quick wit
Yeah.
and their ability to talk about anything under the sun.
Right.
It's like their
Yeah.
minds are always racing,
Yeah.
which could explain why they might be prone to anxiety or nervousness.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Next up, we have Sagittarius, the archer. The Course describes them as having a thirst for knowledge, a love of travel, and a tendency towards idealism.
Mm-hmm.
But they also point out their potential for both great good and destructive tendencies. That duality seems to be a recurring theme with these signs.
Yeah.
It's like they have this incredible capacity for both light and shadow,
Right.
depending on how they choose to express their energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a reminder that we all have that potential for both greatness and destruction within us.
Right.
It's how we choose to wield that power that really makes a difference.
Now on to Virgo, the sign of service and meticulousness.
Okay.
The Course highlights their focus on health,
Yeah.
but also their tendency towards either hypochondria or becoming excellent healers.
Wow, that's quite a range.
It is.
Yeah.
I guess it all comes down to whether they channel that energy towards self-criticism or outward compassion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And finally, we have Pisces,
Okay.
the sign of sorrow, self-undoing, and a love for mystery.
Pisces.
The Course prompts us to consider how these themes might manifest differently based on planetary aspects.
It seems like Pisces is one of those signs that's hard to pin down.
Yeah.
They can be incredibly intuitive and compassionate,
Right.
but also prone to escapism and self-sabotage.
It's like they're constantly swimming in a sea of emotions,
Yeah.
trying to find their footing.
But one thing's for sure,
Yeah.
they have a depth and sensitivity that's truly unique.
So far, we've covered a lot of ground, from cardinal signs to fixed signs
Right.
to these elusive common signs.
Yeah.
But the Course doesn't just focus on individual signs.
Right.
They also delve into specific houses.
Right. Right.
And one house in particular seems to capture their attention,
Okay.
the mysterious 12th house.
Ah, the 12th house, yes.
That's the one associated with hidden matters, secrets, and even confinement.
Yeah,
It sounds a bit intimidating.
it can be for sure. It's often referred to as the house of undoing, representing the dissolution of the ego and the surrendering of the self.
But it's not necessarily negative, though, right?
Right. It's a place of deep introspection
Okay.
where we confront our shadow side and connect with our spiritual potential.
I see what you mean. Like, it's this cosmic crucible.
Yeah.
Where we're stripped down to our essence and forced to confront our deepest fears and desires.
Right.
No wonder it's associated with confinement.
Exactly. And the Course even suggests that if someone experienced poverty in their early years,
Okay.
it could indicate that their sun was in the 12th house at birth.
Wow, so they're connecting this house to real-life experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, not just these abstract concepts.
They also offer some cautionary advice about dabbling in the occult,
Right.
with certain planetary placements in the 12th house, suggesting it can amplify the potential for both intuitive gifts and mental instability.
That's fascinating, but also a bit unsettling.
It is.
It seems like this house holds a lot of power, both for good and for bad.
It does.
The 12th house can be a source of great wisdom and spiritual insight,
Right.
but it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to face the darker aspects of ourselves.
Okay, so we've explored a lot of different astrological concepts here,
We have.
but I'm curious, what does all of this mean for our listener? How can they apply this knowledge to their own lives?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's where astrology gets really exciting, you know? It's
Yeah.
not just about predicting the future, although that can be part of it.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding ourselves
Okay.
and the energies that are shaping our experiences.
Yep.
For example, if you know you have a strong cardinal influence in your chart,
Okay.
it might suggest that you're naturally drawn to taking action and initiating change.
So someone with a lot of cardinal energy might thrive in a leadership role
Exactly.
or as an entrepreneur.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you're more of a fixed sign type, maybe you're better suited for roles that require persistence, stability, and a deep focus
Yeah.
on a particular area of expertise. And what about those common signs?
Yeah.
Where do they fit in?
Well, their adaptability and willingness to collaborate could make them really valuable assets in many situations.
Okay.
They might excel in roles that require flexibility, communication, and a knack for bringing people together.
It seems like understanding your astrological blueprint can provide valuable insights.
Absolutely.
Into your strengths, weaknesses, and even your career path.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about those who say
Yeah.
it's all just a bunch of hocus pocus?
Right.
How would you respond to that?
I'd say it's worth considering that astrology has been around for centuries
Right.
across many different cultures. There might be something to it that we don't fully understand yet.
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe in the predictive power of astrology,
Right.
it can still be a powerful tool for self-reflection and personal growth.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like a mirror reflecting back our tendencies, our strengths, and our challenges.
Speaking of frameworks, this Junior Astrology course seems to provide a pretty comprehensive foundation.
Absolutely. They cover a lot of ground, from the basics of chart interpretation to the deeper philosophical implications of astrology.
And remember, this is just the junior course.
Right.
I'm curious, what deeper insights might await those who go further down the astrological rabbit hole?
That's what's so intriguing about astrology. It's a lifelong study, a constant unfolding of wisdom.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to discover.
It's like peering into the night sky and seeing those countless stars twinkling above us.
Yeah.
Each one holds a story of mystery, a potential waiting to be explored.
And just as the stars guide us through the darkness, so too can astrology illuminate our path and help us navigate the complexities of life with greater awareness and purpose.
So we've talked about different types of signs, houses, and even touched on this concept of destiny. But we haven't really explored how all of these elements come together in a birth chart.
Right.
How do they interact to create a unique portrait of an individual?
That's where the real magic of astrology happens.
Okay.
It's like putting together a cosmic jigsaw puzzle.
Mm.
Each piece, the signs, houses, planets, and their aspects,
Right.
represents a different facet of a person's character, potential, and life path.
Okay.
And when you combine them all,
Yeah.
you get this incredibly detailed and nuanced picture of who they are.
So it's not just about knowing your sun sign.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm a Gemini, so I must be talkative.
Exactly.
It's about understanding how all these different pieces fit together.
Yeah.
But that sounds incredibly complex.
It can be.
Yeah.
And that's why astrologers spend years studying and honing their craft.
Right.
But even without becoming an expert,
Okay.
you can still glean a lot of valuable insights from your own birth chart.
Remember the course talked about different types of destiny? Well, seeing where those cardinal, fixed, and common signs fall in your chart and what houses and planets they interact with can reveal a lot about the themes and challenges you might encounter throughout your life.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I'm looking at my chart
Okay.
and I see I have Saturn in the 7th house, which rules relationships.
Okay.
Does that mean I'm destined to have difficult partnerships?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Remember, astrology isn't about fatalistic predictions.
Right.
It's about understanding potential
Okay.
and working consciously with the energies at play. Saturn in the 7th house might suggest a tendency towards seriousness
Okay.
or commitment in relationships, perhaps a need to learn lessons around responsibility and boundaries.
So it's more about understanding the potential challenges and using that knowledge to navigate relationships more effectively.
Exactly. It's like having a roadmap that highlights potential roadblocks.
Yeah.
So you can be prepared and make more informed choices.
I like that analogy. It takes the pressure off feeling like your fate is predetermined.
Right, exactly.
But with all this talk about planets and houses and aspects, it's easy to forget about that core principle the course started with.
Yeah.
The cosmic balancing act.
Right, and that's what ties everything together.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're not isolated individuals, but interconnected beings. Part of this vast and intricate web of energy.
Okay.
Our actions, our thoughts and emotions create ripples that affect not only our own lives, but also the world around us.
So even if we don't fully understand all the intricacies of astrology, just being aware of this interconnectedness can shift our perspective.
Absolutely. It encourages us to act with greater awareness and responsibility, knowing that our choices have consequences that extend beyond ourselves.
That brings us to another key takeaway.
Okay.
The importance of personal responsibility.
Right.
Astrology can reveal our tendencies, our strengths, and our challenges. But ultimately, we have the power to choose how we respond to those influences.
The course emphasized that point, especially when discussing the fixed signs.
Right.
Remember that phrase, reliable for good or bad?
Right.
It suggests we have a choice in how we express those powerful fixed energies.
We can either become rigid and dogmatic, stuck in our ways, or we can use that determination and persistence to create positive change.
Yeah.
It's empowering to think we have that agency.
It is. It highlights the spiritual dimension of astrology. It's not just about analyzing personality traits or predicting events.
Okay.
It's about using this knowledge to evolve our consciousness and align ourselves with our higher purpose.
The Rosicrucian Fellowship certainly seems to view astrology as a tool for spiritual growth.
Yeah.
What do you think makes their approach unique?
Well, they blend this ancient wisdom with their Christian beliefs, creating a system that integrates the material and the spiritual.
It seems like they're encouraging a more holistic approach to astrology.
Yeah.
One that goes beyond just analyzing personality traits or predicting the future.
Exactly.
It's about using this knowledge to live a more conscious and meaningful life.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this Junior Astrology course so compelling.
Yeah.
It offers a glimpse into this vast and intricate system of knowledge while emphasizing the practical and spiritual applications of astrology in our daily lives.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I'm left with a sense of wonder and possibility.
Me too.
We've just scratched the surface of a fascinating and complex subject.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Astrology is a lifelong journey of discovery.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to explore.
It's like that saying, the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine.
Yes.
Astrology gives us a framework for understanding this strangeness.
Yeah.
For finding our place within this cosmic dance.
Beautifully put.
If this deep dive has piqued your curiosity, I encourage you to explore the Rosicrucian Fellowship's materials.
Yeah.
And see where your own astrological journey takes you.
Right.
Who knows what insights you might uncover within the depths of your own birth chart.
Happy exploring, and remember, the stars are always there guiding us towards our highest potential.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep looking up.